everybody. I'm Lara Trump coming to you from my home in New York. As President Trump restores the American economy, his China policies are more important than ever. Joining me is an economist, a former member of Congress, and the dean of the Liberty University School of Business, Dave Brat. Dave, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you on.
Hey, great to be with you, Lara. Thank you.
So before the pandemic, President Trump was fixing our relationship with China, the first person really to do so in decades, even to attempt it. And he really, Dave, was succeeding. Tell me a little bit about how you thought things were going with China prior to the coronavirus situation.
Yeah, well, President Trump's the first president in 30 years that's paid any attention to the issue in the first place. He's totally flipped the tables upside down. So he was making his way on tariffs. And then we were getting to intellectual property, and I think we're even getting, eventually the financial markets. So we can get into that, what's going on there. But he has turned the logic of the town upside down. We, as economists, we always used to kind of theoretically still talk about free trade with China in the same sentence. How do you do free trade with a communist country where there's no free markets at all, right? So, I mean, his common sense and it's just a courage piece, right? He's got the courage to say what's obvious. He says it. Now even the never-Trumpers and all the more liberal economists, they always have to caveat what they say to go into President Trump's logic, which he's set the new table on. And so he's still got to fight the elites, right? The financial elites, the billionaire classes. That's his game, though. So he knows what he's doing. And I'll just give one example folks may not know. About 10 years ago, we had one of the Chinese top 10 families connections defect to our embassy in China. And intelligence asset beyond comprehension related to the Bo story and all that, and his wife. It was covered broadly, but no one could interpret it, right? Until now, the loss of this. Guess who let him go? Joe Biden. His office overruled the State Department, right? Because you got to preserve the billionaire class, and his son, and that's been well documented. And then Hillary, in her own book, says, in quotes, and the Chinese were very happy with this move, that we kept them happy. We kept the Chinese happy. And so the contrast between President Trump, who's fighting for the average American, right? They've stolen our jobs, they stole our technology, they stole our military technology. They're building islands in the South China Sea, et cetera, versus the contrast, Biden, Clinton, who enabled them so that the billionaire class can flow over there. Not the average American, no benefit there, right? Wages going down or flat for the middle class for 30 years. And so he's totally flipped the tables. Fantastic job.
Well, it's not lost on anybody, I think, Joe Biden's stance on China. He's told us they're not bad folks. He supports China to no end. I mean, you see how he's reacted. President Trump has been talking, Dave, about China and how we really, in many ways, are at war with China on a lot of fronts. For 20 years now, Donald Trump has been saying this. You actually believe that China is at war economically with the United States. Tell the viewers about that.
Yeah, well, and it's not just me. I mean, you can go look up a paper written by the Chinese themselves, two colonels that were promoted to generals in China. They wrote a piece in 1999 called Unrestricted Warfare, and it means what it means. And so we've got our experts here. General Spalding, Robert Spalding, was attaché to the White House, China. He's wrote a book called Stealth Warfare, and he shows what you said. It's a war, and that term is literal. I'm not exaggerating. And then another great hero, Bill Gertz, has written a book called Deceiving the Sky, right? With respect to China, deception is key. That's how they operate. They know they can't get into a kinetic, standard war with us with missiles and battleships and airplanes. They'll lose, right? So for decades, they've been planning, and it's well documented. The Chinese have shown this. But in these two books, they kind of outline the beginnings of China really digging in on the economic war, the cyber war, and how that works together. I'll just give a couple quick examples, but people can look up the thrift savings plan. Our active military officers' pensions and retirement accounts are being invested in Chinese companies that are building munitions and weapons aimed at us.
Wow.
Right? So how can this happen? That was on the president's desk a few days ago, I think he did the right thing there. But that's the kind of thing that the average American can't fathom. And it hits the average American too. Morgan Stanley has an index fund called MSCI. It's trade weighted to have a minimum Chinese allotment. And the politics, right, the billionaire class is building that up from 10% to 15% to more and more and more. Well, why is that a stealth war? Why is that so harmful? Because the day's going to come when there's a political uprising. We say we want to get out of this, but then the average American says, you're going to mess with my retirement account. I'm invested in that fund.
Right.
So the Chinese are very smart. They're analytical. They've been preparing this. It's step by step by step. It's stealthy. And we're at war. And then everybody should go. You can just Google that document, the unrestricted warfare by the Chinese colonels. And see, but they said, if you're the weaker power, like China has been, there's no rules to the game. And they mentioned in 1999 attacking the World Trade Center, biological warfare, viruses, taking down your grids, taking down your satellites, all the unthinkables that were unthinkable until a month ago with this coronavirus.
You know, I think, Dave, in this time of coronavirus, it's been really evident to people that so many of the things that President Trump talked about were right.
Yeah.
When you talk about securing our borders, it's not just that we don't want, illegal immigrants pouring over our southern border.
Right.
It's so that we can secure our country in a time like this.
Right.
When you think about what he did by bringing manufacturing back to this country, which, by the way, Joe Biden and Barack Obama told us were lost and gone forever, those manufacturing jobs. They would never come back. Donald Trump brought them back.
Yep.
He has continued to do that every step of the way.
Yep.
But now that we find ourselves in the coronavirus days and on the other side of this, because we will get through it, isn't the restoration of our manufacturing sector more important now than ever?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that Pew poll with 90% of the American people coming on board now, that's going to help the president get those manufacturing jobs back. The supply chains, a lot of companies are already feeling external pressure from Americans who realize what's going on now. And that's going to help the president pull it back.
Yep. He always puts America and Americans first, Dave. We know that.
Yep.
Real quickly, I just want to check in with you. I ask everybody how they're managing during the times of coronavirus. How are you passing the time? Any tips for anybody? Any fun things you've been doing?
Well, I'm a recovering politician extrovert on lockdown. So it's never good, right, to put an extrovert. I'm working. I miss the students, right? I used to have tens of thousands of students all over the place, and they make you young again. So I got my daughter home, my wife. I'm playing some tennis. I get up I'm running a little bit, and just to break up the brain and keep myself positive. But just trying to focus on the positive every day, and to get out there, do a little exercise, read the Bible a little bit, keep in touch with the faith community, and things will work out.
Good. Well, we can all take a note from that for sure. Well, Dave, Brat, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope you'll come back soon.
Yep, thanks for all you do, Lara. You're a great voice for the president. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. You got it. By putting American workers first, President Trump has been right on trade and right on China all along. That's the real news for today. If you'd like to get involved with Team Trump, go to DonaldJTrump.com or download the official Trump 2020 app from the App Store on your iPhone or from the Google Play Store on Android. I'm Lara Trump, coming to you from my home in New York, encouraging you to stay safe throughout this crisis. Thanks for joining us, everybody.